trans or cis. Okay, anybody that's not cisgender, so like the quote unquote normal. That's an insulting way to say it, but like what we would consider like cisgender, like a person born with a penis.
Normal.
Sure, whatever. Yeah, we would call those people cisgender, and anything that's not that we would call trans. So this includes non-binaries.
I agree. That's how I feel it.
Yeah.
But I also feel that it isn't fluid in the sense that you can go back and forth here to there to another place.
Well,
like if someone went from I was born what they called me as a man and then identify as a woman and I said woman's bullshit. I'm now an owl or whatever. Any other
typically nobody's making the argument. I believe that happens. Most people don't say that it's like fluid in that sense.
Well,
I mean, gender fluidity.
It's been described to me.
Wait, well, whoever described it did a horrible fucking job at describing it.
You people.
I know other people here might have done a bad job, but no,
wait, hold on. Lexi's trying to interject there for a second. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Okay, first of all, no one identifies as an owl. That's not like a gender, but separately,
I know outcomes, but okay.
That's like a kin, okay? That's like other kin are not a gender, okay? That's a separate thing. We can talk about that. I don't think it's it's really not. I swear.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Wes, I am gonna ask you to be a little bit less inflammatory on this issue.
No.
But that when you so if gender is a social construct, is everyone here like in agreement on that?
Yep.
Okay, I was making sure. I came in a little bit late to this. Wait,
this is gonna get spicy.
Okay. You go. No, that's a topic we should talk about.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's go on for 4 hours about it.
Yeah. I mean, if
go on for so long.
Hey, I'll make the argument that sex is a social construct. I'll go farther if you want.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
I agree with that too.
I mean, it technically is because the doctors wanted to find it.
Yeah, sure. We choose to define it in a certain way. We have categories that we make up, and there are any number of different differences between like a various, what we call cis men. There can be cis men that have, that there are people that we think are cis men that they think they go their whole lives to think they're cis men and have, quote unquote female karyotypes. So like it's a whole it's a pretty the like your XXXY.
Oh, okay.
So like there are people who think that who like go their whole life thinking they're cis men who have XX chromosomes.
I've been misgendered. I get that.
Sure.
No, that's on that we're talking about on like a cellular observable
No, I know
level.
a genetic level.
Yeah.
Your genes, there's XXY, XX whatever, and then there's everything in between. And sometimes people on the spectrum, if they do clarify, are also misgendered.
Well, no, you wouldn't be misgendered. I guess you would be missexed.
Fuck off, dude.
Because sex and gender are not the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Well, no. This is a really important distinction because the fact that sex and gender are different things.
Okay, so biological, everyone argues that sex is male, female, and then everything in between. But gender is this, that, and everything else, which is kind of the same.
Well, yeah, gender is a social construct.
Gender is a social construct.
So is sex.
Well, you can argue that, but when we're talking about sex and we're talking about if we're talking about chromosomal sex, you have XX for females and XY for males, and then you have intersex, which are a ton of different variations,
which is everything in between.
Let him finish, Wes.
However, gender is completely separated from that. Gender is when you come out of your your mom or whatever when you're born, and the doctor looks at you. If they see you have a dick or a vagina, generally that's what will happen. They assign you a gender. If you have a dick, you're probably going to be called a boy. If you have a vagina, you're probably going to be called a girl, and you're going to be raised as that gender. However, if at any point in your life you end up deciding to identify, at the very least, identify as a gender separate from that of the one you were assigned at birth, you are transgender by definition. Now, the argument that I was making when I brought up Blair White is that Blair White is a trans medicalist. She believes that to be valid as a human being, as a trans person, you have to have diagnosable gender dysphoria. If you don't have that, you are not a trans person, and you do not. And she doesn't even want you in her group. She wants you out of the trans umbrella, and she's that's a transphobic idea. It's wrong, and so that's why I brought her up, because we're talking about people who are part of marginalized groups who end up being.
Big Punch, can I ask you a question?
Sure, absolutely.
This is pure in the dark. I'm not sure. Someone asked me, and I have the same question. Is there a way to identify the chromosomes at birth other than genitalia, or would it take like a very
genetic
invasive
testing, right?
Yeah, you just have to do a genetic test.
How invasive is genetic testing?
I mean, I think you just
It's not invasive at all.
Just blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, just drop some blood.
Once again, relax. It was just a question. I'm not sure. I'm just learning.
We just don't usually do that for most people.
Put me on a
actually.
freaking cross for learning.
I mean, there's no real
I don't think
No,
you're
you're fine.
transphobic.
That was a reasonable question.
Yeah.
Wes, I don't think you're transphobic at all. I don't even think you're trans medicalist. I actually think that you being willing to learn this is very nice.
That's how I've built my entire lifehood, is learning and changing my beliefs based off what I learn. So thank you for realizing that.
Yeah, and there's a ton of stuff online you can watch if you want to learn more about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Or you can have the best way to learn about this though isn't even going and like watching videos. I would say the best way to learn about this is just to interact with trans people.
I 100% agree.
You have to watch it because 95% of them all give you different answers for shit. Okay.
Really?
I can go do a lot.
But it's so much more retainable.
Sure.
When
Well, I would
that
say
you
that
relate
it's
to.
definitely a combination of the two, right? Like you should definitely do your own research. Don't you can't just like watch Blair White and like absorb whatever she says, right? But you should definitely do your own research, and then it is you get rid of a lot of like unconscious like biases when it comes to this shit by just interacting with people of this identity, right?
Can I ask you a question, my wife's like that? Yeah. It's so funny you say that, because every time I hear something that doesn't make absolute complete sense to me, I take the human prerogative to search out answers that make more sense, and that's the whole reason I've learned as the years I've been alive. So is that not what humans do as a fucking being? Do people just get consolidated in beliefs and give up forever? Because that seems so unhuman.
People like, to be in boxes, and people like to be in things that they're used to. So yeah, I would say, like, even though a lot of people do like learning, I think that's also, like, I would argue, like, also an intrinsic human trait. And also another intrinsic human trait is wanting to be part of a group or identity, right? So once you're part of a set of beliefs, right, that's why, like, we have the whole idea of community, religion, even, like, freaking parties, right? Once you have that community established, you're a lot less likely to question it or go against it in fear of losing those communities. So
based off that, do you think it'd be better if we demolished all of those ideals?
A lot of them. I think community is good in some ways, right? But once you start having, like, an ideological thing attached to it, then it becomes, like, you easily can go into, like, this whole problem of, like, complete echo chambers filled with misinformation, right?
Well, only if those ideological system of beliefs are set and such, and not willing to change and be dynamic as those belief systems.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think communities are inherently bad, but I think communities that have inherent ideologies that you're not allowed to, like, try to